Hey everybody, it's attorney Veronica McClendon, the owner, CEO, and managing attorney of McClendon Law and Consulting located in Macon, Georgia. I had the opportunity today to attend a farm field day hosted by the National Black Growers Council. It was in between Perry and Montezuma at the James Family Farm, hosted by farmer Warren James. And it was a really good event, very well attended. People from all over Georgia, of course, but then also some people that came in from other parts of the country. And I had the opportunity to talk with the families who were there about heirs property, estate planning, and making sure that they have the legal tools in place to manage their family land, to manage their family farm, and to keep it moving down through the generations. And when we had this event, it started out with going to the actual farm and looking at some peanuts and soybeans and learning about some innovations in that arena. And then we went back to Perry, where we heard from a lot of different speakers. We had folks from USDA, someone that I know pretty well, Monica Range from USDA. She spoke, and it was good to see her. It's been a while since I had seen her since she moved up to DC, so it's good to see her. And with all the people who were talking, one thing that just kept coming up was the fact that, well, there's two things I say. One thing was that there's a huge concern about who's going to keep this farming tradition going. And not just because it would be nice to have farmers to keep on the tradition, but who's going to keep producing our food. As time has gone on, our food production has become more commercial, and larger companies are taking over, making sure that we eat every day. And so, what a lot of people are talking about is the importance of family farms and maintaining those family farms so that we continue to have people who live here locally producing our food on the farms that they're growing the food on. A lot of times, this is happening from some other place where the food is being grown, and the people who are running everything are in a whole nother part of the country and not as concerned with the details that a small farmer would be concerned with. So that was one concern. How are we going to keep these family farms going if we don't have enough people from the next generation who are interested in farming? And another issue that came up is that if you want to start a farm, it's very challenging to do so in today's economy. The cost of land is very expensive, and just the equipment and things that you need. We were able to see some of the tractors that run on the farm, and I asked somebody how much does one tractor cost, and they said it could be 250,000, owned up to 300,000, 400,000, depending on what type of tractor, what kind of stuff was that tractor was capable of doing, and then how old the tractor was. Because if you buy something used, that's one thing, but if you buy it brand new, then that's a whole nother thing. And so I thought, I'm like, man, this is more than most people's houses, just for not just for a tractor, but for a tractor. So just to purchase tractors and purchase land and all the infrastructure and equipment, the average person is not able to do that from scratch. And so family farms are becoming more and more important, because if you want to be a farmer as a career, if you want to be a farmer for your career, you're going to need some land, either land that you own or your family owns, or someone that you know is leasing that land to you. And you're going to need equipment and everything for you to carry out your operation. And so what became apparent is the importance of people who have land in their family, who have the equipment and all the loans and the financing and the good credit and all the stuff that it takes to get those things in place. You need to pass that down from generation to generation, or sell it to somebody or transfer it to somebody who wants to continue farming. But it's not going to be as easy, it's not as easy today for someone to start from complete scratch. And so I was there hearing this over and over and over. And my thought is like, okay, so what are we doing about this? And of course, a lot of the people who are bringing it up are the people who are doing something about it. But I just wanted to come on here and talk to all of you about the importance of, one, having a personal estate plan in place to make sure that you have written documentation that's legally binding, that will dictate how you want your personal property to transfer to someone else after you die. We also want to have in place farm succession planning, because it does great to say, okay, I want my children to get my land, but what about everything else that's happening on the land? The farm business entity, the operations, the how do we do things? Who do we buy our products from? What contracts do we have in place? All of those things are critical, and so we want to make sure that as a farmer, you're not just making a plan for, well, first of all, you do want to have a personal estate plan. We need that. But we can't stop there. We have to have that personal estate plan, and we also have to have a farm succession plan. Both of those things need to be in place. You got to make sure that your plan addresses how your land ownership is going to transfer if you own land, and then how your business operation is going to transfer. It may not be the same way for both of those. You might have your land go to your children, but then the farm operation, you might sell it to a farmer who has some kind of a contract in place to be able to lease the land for future generations. You might have something in place for your family to keep that going. Or you might say, I want to pass this land and the farm to my children, but I want to make sure that they know if they're not going to farm, that they can hire somebody to manage everything for them, and they just reap the financial benefits. So you want to have something in place to say, this is how the land is transferring, this is how the equipment is transferring, but then you also want to have something in place to say, who's going to take over the management of this farm? Who's going to actually be riding a tractor? Which I learned a lot of them are air conditioned and have all kinds of nice features. I got a chance to sit in one. I'm gonna make sure I put a picture up on somewhere. But I got a chance to sit in a tractor today. Very nice on the inside, cup holders and everything. I'm telling you, it was nice. I have to learn how to drive one day. That's next step. But I'm just playing. But anyway, as far as like who's going to get the tractors. Do we sell them? Do we keep them in the family? Who's going to make sure that they are maintained? Like all those things, you want to document that, because we got to make sure that we are not just living for today, making a great investment in our farm, doing great things for the community, feeding folks, and then after we die, it just ends. So it's very important that as a farmer, you're taking care of that land, making sure there's a plan in place for that. Making sure you're taking care of that farm business, and make sure you have someone in charge to manage that for you, and make sure you have your personal side taken care of and your business side. Another thing I want to point out is if you do not have a separate business entity for your farm, you need to get one. There are a lot of things that having a separate entity can offer for you. One of them is liability protection. You want to make sure that something that happens to you on the personal side is not impacting what's going on the business side, and vice versa. You don't want something to happen to your business and then now it impacts your family. You don't want to have some kind of contract go wrong on the business side, and now creditors are coming after you and now they're looking at your home. The way you prevent that is by separating the ownership. You might own your personal stuff, but then your business owns stuff on the business side. And that way, if somebody wants to sue one aspect of how you operate, they're not impacting the other. So if you don't have a business entity for your farm, you need to get one. And if you don't have an operating agreement for an LLC, or if you have a corporation, if you don't have bylaws or whatever it is you have, you need governing documents for that. Because an LLC without any kind of operating agreement or any kind of structure is not going to offer the same level of protection. So you want to make sure you have those things in place. I strongly encourage that for your estate plan, whether that be a will or a trust, or for your for your business side with your farm succession planning, forming your entity, drafting your operating agreement, don't cut corners on that. Make sure you hire an attorney who you trust and who can get the job done right. Because if it's not done right, you might as well just not done it at all. It can be worse being done wrong than it is to not have it done at all. So I want to bring that up to you as well. We got to make sure, again, just to reiterate, that we have a plan in place to pass on that family land. Or if it might not even be what you consider family land, it might just be your land. Have a plan in place to pass on that family land. Have a plan in place to pass on that farm. Have a plan in place to make sure that the management of your farm, your operation, is transferred to the right people. It may not always be your children. It may not be your niece or your nephew. It might be someone who is related to you. It might be a friend, or it might be a complete stranger. But make sure you putting it in the hands of the right people. If you know a young person or someone who wants to get into farming and they're looking for land to farm, they're looking for a farm to take over, if your children are not interested, it might make sense for you to sell it to this person so that at least it stays with someone who's interested in continuing farming, and it stays with someone who's going to hopefully carry on the values that you have as a farmer. So just some few pointers that I wanted to share with you all today based on my experience at the National Black Growers Council Farm Field Day at the James Family Farm with Farmer Warren James. All that to say, if I can help you with anything, please feel free to reach out to us. My contact information is in the description of this video. You can reach out to us by phone if you want to schedule a consultation. If you want to go online to our website, the website is there. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook. We have our social media information below as well as including as well as how to join our email list. I encourage you to join the email list. We send out information about resources that we learn about. We share it with our clients. One thing to keep in mind that I am licensed in the state of Georgia. So when it comes to actually working with families, I can only work with families in the state of Georgia. But you can join my email list. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. And that way you can stay in touch and receive information. And you can always shoot me an email if you're like, I'm in Alabama, I need someone. I got the perfect referral for you for Alabama. I got people in North Carolina. I got people in South Carolina and other states as well. So just let me know if I can help you. Again, this is attorney Veronica McClendon. It's been a pleasure. Make sure you get your stuff in order. Y'all take care.